my hair look like this.
Oh, man, what you want to make your hair look like that for?
Will you let the man tee you off? You yap worse than 6 barbers.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Your Barber podcast. I'm your host, Matt Ballad, a.k.a. Matty Blades. This is episode number 51, but it's the NFL playoffs. So we've been doing something called the Betting Barber Series, and it is the championship round. We have a very good show in store. Let's go ahead and bring in my guy, John Gould, New York State's finest. Welcome back, my man. Welcome back. Riding high, my man. Biggest game of the week, the game of the year, they called it, right?
Yep. MVP face-off.
The MVP face-off. That's a good point. So just to recap, let's go over our records real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I want to see if you agree with these records here, what we got it sitting at. Does that sound right to you? I'm calling it we pushed on the Eagles game because you think we got it 6, you want to call it?
It's tough because we were talking Monday night and we were guessing, would it be at 4? Would it be higher? What was the score at?
It landed on 6.
So 6. What did it open at?
It opened at 6. But I think it may have closed at 6.5.
We'll call it a push. We'll call it a push.
That's why I want to call it a push.
I like that.
Because we thought it would open at 3.5, but I remember saying I wouldn't be surprised if it opened at 6, because that's the NFL's kind of been slapping their balls on the table this playoffs and like putting it in the public's hands after getting smacked around during the regular season. They're really putting some numbers out there that's just making you like, what am I doing with this, right?
And to give ourselves some credit, I mean, we were talking money line. We had that right too. So
right, yeah.
And so on top of it, we were talking. Not to mention the Rams game was Monday night, and we were talking Rams Eagles before that was even official. So a push is the least we could do for ourselves there.
Yeah, I didn't bet the game personally, but I teased it down to I think I got it 1.5, and I had that with the Houston game. So I just, we got to make people understand, like, our opinions can change throughout the week. We're recording Monday. The line's going to move. More information is going to drop. We're doing our best to kind of we're forcing ourselves to make picks here on the matchups. And doesn't necessarily mean we advise to make that bet, but we're breaking down every game, giving you guys, putting it in your hands if you want to hear us out, and, kind of a la carte it a little bit, pick and choose from what we're saying. And
live betting advice came in handy this week too.
What's that?
Live betting advice came in handy this week too. We talked about a little bit about that live with each other, so that was nice.
No doubt. I definitely hopped on. What did I hop on? I hopped on the Bills. Or no.
Chiefs.
I hopped on the Chiefs. Yeah, because I had to middle it, which is something that's stupid to do, right? I had Houston at a plus 15. I think I had Houston in a teaser. And then, I just saw how this game was kind of playing out. And let's go ahead and recap it first. So let's recap the divisional round games. So let's start with the one that started first. Houston, Kansas City.
Some interesting stats with this one too. I was pulling it up as we were getting ready here.
Yeah,
pretty wild.
A few things rung true with what we were talking about last week. I remember you saying, we're just going to have still enough doubt in our minds about Kansas City. Something's going to happen to where we're just not quite like, they kind of got some calls. And then I brought up the point where special teams could make a big difference in this game. And, of course, opening kickoff, they took it inside the 30, inside of Houston's 30. It's a massive kickoff. Missed kicks, nipped, or did they block a kick, or they influenced the kick to be kind of jacked up?
What did he end up getting a hand on that?
I don't. He may have not have. I was in the shop when the game was on. I was working, and
Yeah, I can't remember because
it was a
I remember
horrific kick.
watching that.
He missed it bad. Like
Yeah,
it fucking flew all over the place, fluttered around.
that was the one
And he
that
missed
went
a
wide
PA.
right.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
It fucking swung in and swung out way wide.
yeah.
Then he missed a PAT,
Yep,
the
huge.
instant kicker.
Fairbairn's
Yeah.
pretty decent actually. I had him in fantasy. Otherwise, I wouldn't really be following a Houston kicker too closely, but
Right,
he was actually pretty good all year.
right. That's what happens in these games, man. And
Hey,
plus,
and
yeah,
at Arrowhead, I mean,
right.
I hate to continue to overplay it, but inclement weather, that's where home field advantage comes in handy. He's used to kicking in a dome half the season, so
Yeah.
that wind rips there.
Wind rips, you got a different playing surface,
Hmm.
the pressure, the playoffs. It can, we saw kind of Justin Tucker go through a little bit of a rough patch this year where he was getting in his
Yeah.
head, and that guy's a Hall of Fame kicker, future Hall of
Yeah.
Famer. So it can happen to anybody. What was your take on this game, John? The Houston Kansas City game?
Uh so like I said, I mean they they continue to find a way to put themselves in these tough positions, but then it's like every single time when their back's against the wall, they just come out on top. Like the play that's I cliche at this point, but the play that sticks out in my head more than any other is Mahomes getting wrapped up. His body's pretty much like almost parallel to the ground as he's leaning forward and just lets his hand go at what he's like a 30-degree angle or something. He lets his hand go and finds Kelsey in the end zone for a touchdown. And I can't remember the score at that point, but they do enough, man. They're well coached, and I think the difference between them and a lot of teams is they game plan week to week for the opposition, and they do it to a T. So to some extent, I think that's why the scores have been the way they have. And then on the flip side, like I also was saying before, they know how to turn it on and off when it matters, and that's the scary thing about them. But yeah,
Yeah,
I don't
dude, they
know,
certainly
not
do.
much.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like I remember them talking about like they practice, these special teams plays and making a difference in special teams. And it seems like we're looking at some advanced stats here.
The third down efficiency is the one that's pretty shocking on that too.
Oh yeah, yeah. I had
Three
some.
or 4 for 11. Uh, I don't know. Certain things you look at, it just doesn't tell the tale of the tape to an extent, I guess. But
I mean,
yeah,
Houston's defense was playing very well in this game, and
yeah. Ryan's had them up to play these playoffs. That defensive front was so impressive in those two games.
yeah, I mean, you're seeing here third down efficiency. Texans won that matchup. They both had 8 possessions. Average plays per drive, 8.4 to 7.1. That, they were on the field a little longer, it seems like. Yeah, I mean, they outgained. I mean, every single one of these losers in the playoffs so far got outgained on the ground or outgained total yardage. So, I mean, it just
Yep.
goes to show this isn't fancy football anymore. This is the NFL playoffs. It's about time of possession. It's about, just things that eke your way, to the victory, which is like special teams and just not turning over the football. So,
I know the stat the conspiracy theorists like to look to when we're talking about the Chiefs too is penalties. We got 8 for 82 versus 4 for 29 as well. So a lot of people like to talk about how some of those calls played a factor, which
they
they do.
double the amount of penalties.
Yeah. Yep. 4 for 29 versus 8 for 82. And the yardage even more so.
And I didn't realize they sacked CJ Stroud 8 times in that game.
They were getting after him. Jones is an absolute animal still too. He wreaks havoc.
That had to happen kind of later in the game a little bit too, right? With when
It
they were
was,
trying to
yeah.
catch up.
And when they were trying to throw the ball down the field, and he's a little short-handed at receiver, so extending plays a little bit. I remember he took like a 20-yard sack or so at the end of the game, 15 at least, if I'm thinking too much. But that
Yeah,
offensive line has also struggled all year long too. That's been an issue. So they exploited that, which is the Chiefs being the Chiefs right there too, from a coaching standpoint.
no doubt. Do you recall any plays where we're like, here go the refs? I'm trying to think of plays that are standing
Yeah,
out.
you shot me a text. Damn,
Here we
what
go.
was it? Because I was going to pick the family up a pizza, so I missed like, I don't know, 20 minutes of the game, and I know there was a big one because, as I said before, my youngest brother is a Texans fan, so in one of the family group chats, he was going crazy about it. Obviously, um, was it a roughing the passer? Did they call? I'm against
I'm just
Mahomes,
I'm
I
just
want to
looking
say.
back at our text to see if I'm able to put it together from that.
And I remember seeing memes of like the refs with Patrick Mahomes versus Jared
Yeah.
Goff after. So I think it was something to do with him. But I know that was when I was on the road going to pick a pizza up for the family.
Right. But yeah, the Chiefs are moving on. So let's move on to the Detroit game here.
Yeah.
So this is the one I've been pounding the table on all year, or the moment I've been pounding the table on. I just wasn't sold on Detroit kind of in the postseason. Just I had my reservations about this team. And yeah,
I wasn't either. I wish I had them at least winning a game at home, maybe going to the NFC Championship. But man, this game did not open up the way I thought it would
no.
at
I
all.
mean, it doesn't help their best corner left like snapped his arm.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't that nuts? I was like, "Oh, Jesus Christ."
They're they're cursed. They're
Yeah, that
cursed.
was rough. And then dude, so they're about to lose both coordinators. But first, let's go over the game because, dude, Jaden Daniels, man, this kid, it's almost
Unbelievable.
like he's like a mix of like Burrow and like Lamar in a way.
Yeah.
Like he's pretty good in the pocket, but he's really not like running everywhere crazy. Like he's so under control. He's so composed and under
Yeah.
control. That's the best way to say it. Like, right?
Honestly, weird comparison, but I'm talking like absolute peak prime. It's hard to remember at this point, but Deshaun Watson, like before all the
That's a
legal
good
troubles, injuries, like that, he had a set of wheels, he could move, but like you said, he was lethal in the pocket too, and just a quick release. And the
yeah,
thing that's different too is this kid is just so poised. Like
so
he seems
poised.
like he's been in the league now for a decade, and this is year one, obviously.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I can't say any other way. Like he's just super wise and mature among his years. Like, I mean, you look at like Hurts, like in the pocket, like it's kind of a crapshoot. What's gonna happen there?
Oh yeah.
He can be a little all over the place. I mean, you got Jaden in the pocket. I mean, he just had a little bit of a moment during the season when he was a little banged up and he threw a few picks in a few games. But other than that, dude, like, I mean, we're talking about getting hot. Like, I mean, the last 8 games of the year, man, he really kind of just steady as she goes, man.
Felt like
So,
I was looking at it. It felt like they went for it on fourth down about 100 times, even though it was only a handful there. But I mean,
yeah.
to see Quinn just tell Dan Campbell "F you" and he's gonna beat him at his own game. That was like, I couldn't believe what I was watching. That one drive where they just kept going for it on fourth and like just snatching their heart right from them every time. You could tell on that scoring drive late in the game.
Yeah, they were 3 for 4 on
Man,
fourth down.
It felt like it all came on that last drive. I don't know how, not last, but that drive I'm talking about. I don't know how many times they went for it on that one drive, but
Yeah, that's why I was like, they're gonna go for it. Here they go. They're gonna go. I was like, man,
unreal.
do they take it? Do they take the points? But yeah, man. I mean, that's just their brand too. They're kind of. I mean, Terry McLaurin stepped the fuck up in this game. I mean, he's always stepping up. I mean, he's their guy for sure. But I mean, they don't have a lot of weapons. Like they don't have a lot of like people that I mean are grading extremely high. Especially defensively. I mean, they trade away Chase Young last year. Like, I mean, they just got limited guys. What was the dude's name? Brown. What was that guy's name?
Miami or whatever.
Miami Brown or something.
The one who was balling was Noah Brown, and then this kid took over. Yeah.
Right. I thought it was Noah Brown. I was like, no. It's like Miami Brown or something.
Yeah.
I mean, he was stepping up. I mean, we got some good play out of the both running backs.
Yeah.
Eckler looked pretty good.
Eckler had some burst to him that game.
No doubt about it.
Which on the other side of the ball, Jahmyr Gibbs is like one of the you have some of the most fun watching him play football because he just shoots out of a cannon too.
100%.
So talented. Yeah, that was a weird game. Like they came out and played like they had nothing to lose. Like they truly lived by it, and you could just tell like they're playing carefree football, which is scary. It's
No
like
doubt.
when they're not feeling the pressure and they're just playing their game. It's scary right now.
No doubt. Dude, let's talk about Jared Goff.
Yeah.
Play beautifully. Firing for the end zone. Oh, it's intercepted.
I don't want to take too much away from him. I mean, he's had a good couple all-pro years. He's had a Super Bowl appearance. I remember one year in the playoffs with the Rams, he's a little banged up. I can't remember if that was the actual Super Bowl year or not. Was that the Super Bowl year or maybe the year after? But, dude, I mean, I'm hearing people, like, still cutting him bail. Still just, like, they acted like he never had a game like this all year.
Yeah.
Like, didn't he throw 5 picks in a game and they ended up winning? Or 3? He threw, like, 3 to 5 picks in one game this year and they still won.
Yeah, probably. I mean, I want to say he had a few in our game too, right? Like the Bills Lions game, he had a few at least, if I remember right. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
But
I mean, he's good for like a game here and there where it's just like this guy's a starter, like, but like I mean, people were I saw the hit. Everyone was like, he wasn't the same after he took that hit. It's like, do people not realize that was triggered by an interception?
Yeah.
He threw a pick, and that's why he got fucked up. Like,
Yeah.
that's the shit that happens when you throw picks, dude. Like,
he's a quarterback. He's maybe not like quite to that magnitude, but he's getting hit constantly in the pocket.
Yeah.
I know it's not the 90s anymore, but he's taking the brunt end of it when he's hanging in the pocket. So that didn't change anything. No.
But they do have
he
a
was
decent
slinging.
line.
Yeah, they do. They do. Yeah,
Well,
I don't know. Weird
play.
game.
What's your take on the play where he got depleted there?
I'm okay with it.
I thought it was clean too. I'm like, guys take those hits every single, interception return. That's exactly what those defenders look for. Where's the quarterback? Let me lay him out because it's legal now.
No, I'm gonna be honest. Like, if I'm being honest, a lot of times they would throw a flag just because it happened to be a quarterback. But
right.
I always
think I've seen
way.
It a couple times before where I'm like, he's fair game, but like he did get up under right in the chin strap, right in the chin. He kind of got a little face, a little helmet in there.
Yeah.
But I mean, in the speed of the game, you can't really catch that.
No.
I mean, it just looked like live when you're watching it, he just got shoved and thrown back 5 yards on his back.
Yeah,
but Mahomes. Yeah, slow-mo, it looked like, oh, man, he just got, popped in the jaw. He went into the tent after that happened.
Yeah.
So, I thought it was because he hit the back of his head off the turf, but I don't think his head really even banged off. It was really just that chin shot. So, it is what it is there. But, yeah, man, what are they going to do now, the Lions, dude? I mean, it's going to be hard to replicate this kind of year. I'm not saying they can't be good again, but, I mean, both coordinators are gone. Campbell's not really a scheme guy. Man, they better hope they get some at least a good OC again, because I think they're going to be all right defensively getting all those guys back pretty much regardless. But
Sure.
yeah, it's hard.
Are both coordinators like set to be gone for sure? Are they like predicting? I know what's his name, the OC.
Ben Johnson.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, Ben Johnson, the traitor, is already a Bear.
Yeah.
Went to the Bears today. I was like, wow. Which there's plenty of talent on the Bears. You know, I think they're a coordinator away from being competent on offense, at least.
Sure.
Their defense kept them in a lot of games. That division, dude, they may have taken it for the best division in the league, wouldn't you say?
I can't think of any other offhand. It's got to be. I mean, the records are the win column in the record category is high, obviously, for sure, but it's got to be like top. I mean, the Bears are the only weak link, and like you said, they were still like fairly tough. I know they kind of fizzled out at the end, but
Yeah, they were like the garbage time Kings this year, but they'd always kind of make a closer game or barely lose. And yeah, they had a lot of close losses this year, so I'll give them a little bit of that. But
yeah.
Yeah.
You're honestly, as I'm going through it in my head, I could be missing one here, but I'd say you're probably picking between NFC North and AFC West, and NFC North's got to take the cake, right? Like between the two.
Yeah. AFC North's always pretty solid, but like they had definitely a down year with the Bengals really not doing enough.
Which they were still tough. I was just in my head, I was putting the Pittsburgh in the category of frauds there when I was just in my head. But
dude, I'll put the Bengals in the category of frauds. Everyone loves to pat the Bengals on the back, and it's like they didn't do enough. They didn't do enough.
Yeah, you got
Burrow can't get enough. Burrow can't get 2 years in a row where he's healthy either.
No,
so people don't talk about that either.
There's a difference between them and the Chiefs too, right? Like they win the close games while they lost them. So
yeah. Plus they got a Hall of Fame coach, and Bengals have a coach. He's done a great job, no doubt, but he's not Andy Reid level yet for sure.
Yeah.
So, and then we got, let's see, the Rams and the Eagles game. So before we get to the Bills and Ravens. So this game, dude, it was a slop fest, right? With the really good game, really good matchup. I mean, Verse for the Rams, dude. He talked all that shit before the game, and man, did he fucking hold up his part of the bargain.
Yeah.
that guy's a stud, man.
He is, man.
Did you hear that story about, what was it, Byron Young, the edge for them?
Said what?
The Raiders. There's a story that the Raiders drafted a different Byron Young, like a D lineman out of Alabama, and they actually called the Rams Byron Young.
Oh,
and then he thought he was getting drafted, and then the other guy got called up to the stage. And so everyone thinks the Raiders fucked up and literally fumbled that and took the wrong guy. And he was mocked a little higher, the guy, from the Rams. They were taking.
I haven't even seen that, but that's classic because it kind of goes along with that franchise as of late too. So
Raiders are going to Raider there, man. But
I hate to beat a dead horse here, but once again, too, in this game, elements played a factor.
Big factor.
LA coming over, and then just the way that snow started coming down at the end of that game too, just huge. Not that Matt Stafford was inept, because he was putting on another throwback performance. I mean, he was tough as nails, making throws, and I was saying last night, Puka Nacua, that guy's a top 10 receiver in this league, if not higher, right? That kid is incredible.
Oh yeah, dude.
Man.
So yeah,
so sure-handed.
Definitely. And they had a couple of shots to him where they overthrew him or they couldn't quite connect. That game, compared to the Bills game, that kind of snow was fucking slick. That was that fucking heavy, wet snow that was like, you know, so looking here, there were looking here. Okay.
2.4 yards per pass from Jalen Hurts, by the way, too.
Yeah, that he did not put up too much. But there was 5 balls on the ground this game. There was 5 fumbles, but only 2 were lost. And unfortunately, the Rams were the ones that lost both of them. But yeah, I mean, the ball was just popping out everywhere here.
7 sacks by LA.
Yeah, and then in that kind of elements, you got 44 pass attempts for Stafford. Whew, that's a bit too much. That last throw of the game where he missed somebody out of bounds. It looked like it was there too, and he just kind of
Puka he missed. Yeah,
it was Puka. He was there. It was going to be a tight throw for sure, but I mean, he didn't have a chance. He just threw it out of bounds. So I'm like,
yeah.
Man.
They were at him in the backfield.
Yeah, I was going to say he had to throw it with a lot of anticipation because they were coming for him. No doubt
Saquon is just incredible too. I mean, like
Saquon took over the game, man.
Man, his name needs to be mentioned. Not playoffs are supposed to have 0 bearing. I completely understand that. So even leaving that game out like we should, and the other one, like his name needs to be brought up in the MVP discussion. He's unbelievable.
Absolutely. Eagles had 34 carries for 285 yards.
Jeez.
Unreal, man. Yeah, he busted 2 60-yard runs that really stamped the game. That was really put the stamp on the game here, man.
Yeah, 205, 2 TDs. Unbelievable. Hurts 70 on the ground, 1 TD.
Yeah, man. 7 sacks for the Rams. So they were getting home. I mean, the Eagles are very they're just studs all over the field, especially defensively for both of these teams.
For me, it's tough because that was those were my personal 2 top teams in the NFC, and they had to play each other in the divisional round. That's why it was like, as we're making the picks before LA even wins the game against Minnesota, when we're anticipating them to win,
right?
We're going over what we think the line's going to be at, and had that game not been in Philly, the pick would have been different. Maybe not money line wise, but the line would have reflected it. But that was huge, and why I was picking that early on too. I mean, that's where it comes in handy, right? The seeding.
Right. It says here the line closed at 7.
Okay.
So I mean, but we saw it at 6. It opened at 6. It definitely opened at 6. So we're making the picks Monday. Yeah, you were very high on the Rams. I mean, you were speaking very highly on the Rams, and you were very torn.
We'll see where they go from here. I mean, what's Stafford's contract situation? Does he even have a year left, or?
Matt Stafford contract. So they could cut him this year. There's a potential out, it says right there. But he's got 2 years left on his deal. Yeah, the cap hits 49 mil next year, 53 mil the following year. I mean,
decent amount of young guys on that team too, so that'll be interesting to see what they do. They're kind of like at a fork in the road there overall.
Yeah, if they go young, I mean, 49 dead cap, that's not terrible. No. That's manageable with all the young guys they got, like you said. But
who would have thought they would replace Aaron Donald as fast as they did too? I mean, that's a surprise right there. So
didn't skip a beat there, man.
No.
Yeah, dude. So, and then let's go ahead and get to the game of the week, the Bills and Ravens. And boy, oh boy, where do you want to start here, John?
Tough game. I mean, so when you were talking about the snow being a factor, so Philly was like that wet, sloppy snow.
Right.
Buffalo, just watching it on TV at least, it seemed like a slick ice rink. And
It was ice and just a light flurry drizzle throughout the whole game. Like,
you could tell, like, every time Lamar was in the pocket and he's escaping and extending the play, that's where the broken coverage would come from, which it usually does anyways. But as soon as his players would break from that route, his receivers, everyone's slipping all over the field and someone's wide open. I mean, it was different, but what a game. I mean, Josh, not not exactly the performance you would expect, and I don't even say that in a bad way. He just playing smart, taking what's given, and hell of a game, man. We finally were on the other end of things there for once. Normally, the curse hits us when it comes to those crucial moments at the end of a game, so it felt good to be on the other end.
no doubt, dude. Yeah, I mean, Baltimore, they were kind of plagued with some uncharacteristic turnovers in this. It always seems to come down to that with them. A lot of
Two huge plays, and we went over this. Three players that Buffalo did not have in the first meeting: Taron Johnson, Matt Milano, and Terrell Bernard. All three of these guys showed up. I don't know what happened to Milano, but he's fully back. He's proven that these past
looked
two
like an
games.
animal, man.
The
Animal.
strip from Bernard on the play against Andrews in the middle of the field, he stripped it and recovered the fumble.
That was
And
huge.
then Milano on the tipped pass on the 2-point conversion wound up being huge.
Oh yeah.
That was huge. So these guys were making plays and they were missing that in that first meeting. That's what kept it close. So
Yeah, I was trying to see some of the highest graded players. I mean, Milano and Ed Oliver, Russo was making a big difference. I
yeah.
mean, you watch the very first snap of this football game. The Bills' front seven was just ready, man. That they were. I knew from that first drive of the game they weren't gonna get rain on. They're making sure that wasn't how they were gonna lose.
Yeah.
So
I felt confident, even though it wasn't a popular opinion. I felt confident in McDermott's ability to game plan against Baltimore. I still feel more confident in his ability to do that versus Kansas City. But Lamar, I'm not really with all the criticism he was getting about, oh, he choked again. Like, I get it, he fumbled, but you actually watch the game outside of turning the ball over, which happens when you're that important of a player. He played well. I mean, you can't just place the blame on his shoulders, honestly.
yeah, once again, the losing team was the team that outgained the other.
Yeah.
Turnovers, time of possession possession. Yeah, Bills still won time of possession. 3-0 turnovers, man. I mean, it just always rings true. It's definitely not all on Lamar.
No.
Definitely not all on Lamar, but he definitely contributed. I was watching something right before I came in here, and that last play where Andrews dropped the ball, man, Lamar's got to get it out to him a little faster and a little less hesitant.
You got to make
Like,
a play and catch it for your quarterback, but since he didn't and you can nitpick it at the end there, 100%. Yeah.
yeah, when they're breaking down film in the coach's room, they're both getting negative grades on the play, Lamar and Andrews. He kind of did like the Mahomes, Mahomes just runs around like pumping. He
Yep.
kind of was like, okay, you ready? Here it comes.
Yeah.
Like Andrews is like, I'm fucking open. Throw me. Like he
I know.
just muffed it up, man.
And my
And not
thing
to
too
say
is
the Bills had 90 seconds left to get in field goal range right after that.
Exactly. We had 2 timeouts, a minute
Yeah.
and 30 left. So for everyone acting like it's over there, it's like, I mean, not for nothing. Going back to the, excuse me, the 13-second game, Josh drove our team down the field and won the game for them with 13 seconds left. So a minute and a half, 2 timeouts is nothing for that kid. So it wasn't like it was over.
Especially
it was tied.
2 timeouts.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that was lost in the game too. It's like, you lost some of the game. It was like, well, their defense could have lost the game too once Josh Allen got the ball back the very next drive.
Huge. I don't know how much attention it got on a national front, but just like huge locally, whatever. Our last scoring drive where we ended up settling for the field goal. How the hell do you put Josh Allen in shotgun on third down?
Yeah.
You know, like you send him right up the center's ass on third down, and then you're looking at inches to get into the end zone after, and you're not gonna have to think about it. Now, I was okay with them kicking the field goal because of that bad play call there.
Right, at that point, you got to kick a field goal.
Take the points, but it's like, man, you got Josh Allen, and his brain almost short-circuited there again, like rewinding to his first playoff game against the Texans. I don't know if you saw, he was looking like he was ready to pitch it back, and thank God he didn't. But
yeah,
that last drive was crazy.
Just let go, just like, take the loss. They got a little too cute there. It makes me think of the Ben Johnson play where they threw that double pass with Jameson Williams. Yeah, that was dumb.
Yeah,
it was only a 10-point game at that point, and they threw a flea flicker. Like, come on, man, what are we doing here?
That's them. Just like 10-point game against the Bills
in the playoffs.
Yep, that's them. Live and die by it, right?
Right. And which we'll get into it with the Washington Philly game, but yeah, man. So I was looking at the highest graded. Here's the highest graded players, in that game, and it was Taylor Rapp, Ed Oliver, and Spencer Brown, the tackle.
Which Taylor Rapp left that game with an injury, so I'm hoping he's good to go. Yeah.
What did it look like?
What was his? I'm mixing his and Taron Johnson's up in my head. Taron Johnson came back in. He was the one where his arm rolled up underneath him, and it was like his shoulder. Yeah. Taylor Rapp, what was his? I don't know. I have to look it up. But he's a huge piece of that defense because that kid, he's out there with bad intentions every play. Cole Bishop looked okay filling in, but it's definitely he's a rookie in there. I mean, you could tell.
Yeah, they
because it's him and him, if not.
Yeah, I mean, this is Monday. We got limited injury news right now. It's tough on us to get this kind of news.
Yeah,
for sure. But yeah, man. I mean, all the guys graded out pretty high. So Lamar's now 3-5 in postseason play.
Yep, 0-2 against Josh.
0-2 against the Bills. Yeah, I mean, they'll be in good shape next year still, the Ravens, and this will be a good matchup for years to come, I'm sure, in the regular season and postseason.
Hip injury for Taylor Rapp. I was looking it up quick.
Okay.
So we'll see. Benford's also in concussion protocol, which is not good there either, but it says day-to-day in Benford in concussion protocol, so we'll see. I mean, I thought Ray Davis was going to be out after the Denver game, where Josh hung him out to dry. But he played. He had some big plays too.
Yeah.
So concussion protocol, maybe they're a little easy on it come postseason.
Yeah, that was my question too when I saw that. He's like concussion protocol. He's in the game. I'm like, isn't that like an automatic week these days? Like
regular season, it seems like 2 weeks, right? Like they miss a game at least.
Right. At least a week, depending on.
Maybe they're a little more lenient on it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the playoffs. Things change in the playoffs, 100%.
Yep.
So they got the dub. They're moving forward here. You want to go straight to the Chiefs game?
We'll take the Washington game. We'll save the Bills.
Let's go. Let's go Washington, Philly here. Now, we're talking about playing with house money. They're not afraid of nothing. I wonder at one point in the playoffs if they need to adjust that a little bit. They made it past the team that replicates that kind of style. Now they're going against a team to where it's like they might have limited possessions. Now, when you have limited possessions, John, what do you think that means? Do you want to like hold on to each possession a little tighter, or do you want to risk it and and make the most out of each possession?
If I'm gonna tap into the mind of Dan Quinn and Cliff Kingsbury and this team here, I think they're gonna go for it again. I really do. I mean, I think they realize what they're dealing with, especially Dan Quinn. This guy's been in this league forever. He's defensive coordinator for the Legion of Boom, a Super Bowl winning team, went to 2 in a row, almost 3. I think they go for the jugular. Now, conditions are going to be a little different. You're playing in Philadelphia this week. You're not playing in a dome in Detroit, but I think they just let Jaden Daniels loose and let him do him. I really do. Now, if you ask me what anyone else does, it might not be the case. I think you try and control the tempo more, but I don't know, man.
Right now, we're looking at the lines 5.5. The PFF prediction or projection, which looks like it is kind of like how they're kind of rating the what they think the line should be. They're bringing it down to 4.9.
Okay.
So people are liking Washington in this matchup. I mean, Washington's fun, man. I think people would rather Washington win this game at this point. The money right now, according to this, is 50-50, but the bets are 69% on Washington. So, yeah, a lot of the small-time bettors are probably, wanting to have fun with this and play Washington, I'm thinking.
I'm thinking we're going to – this is going to be maybe – this is a high week for teasers here, too. I know.
Yeah.
I think the popular teaser is people getting more points for Washington and the Bills together, which can be kind of volatile there. That goes against what we've talked about a few times, but
Yeah.
they're
you were
special,
breaking my
man.
balls a little bit on Houston on Saturday. You were like, "What did I say?"
Yeah.
We talked about that.
I know.
I'm like, I know, man. I was feeling it.
Which we're in a weird spot here too. Now we're in the conference championship, and these games don't have that same feel of a Houston versus the Chiefs, like that. So
No,
the
you're
teaser
right.
is gonna be a lot of people's friend here. But yeah, I don't know, man. This is pretty weird. Money line's not gonna do you too well here. What are we looking at? 280 for the Chiefs or for the Eagles, which isn't too bad. Especially if you parlay, I'm favoring the Chiefs myself. I think the fairy tale ends here. When we talk about our final pick in terms of spread, maybe I'll say something different. But in terms of just straight up winner, I'm favoring the Chiefs. I don't know about you, or I'm sorry, the Eagles.
Eagles. Okay.
I don't know about you.
Yeah, man. I think like granted, people listening to this is Monday.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I'm picking this game, I might not necessarily bet it. I might lean towards waiting and betting it live on Philly. I'm going to be looking to bet Philly. I agree. The Philly's the side here. I would like it a lot more at like a 4 or a 3.5 or something. But dude, just Philly's just a more talented team. They're physical. They're extremely physical. We might have another weather game on our hands.
Yeah.
Which is a crapshoot. And Saquon is Saquon, man. I mean, just you cannot forget about Saquon. The Eagles have so many good things going for them and so much talent, and no one talks about that stuff. They always talk about Sirianni and Hurts, the two weaknesses or the two like dysfunctional parts of it. But I mean, this team has just got way too much talent.
I think they have the advantage at every position except for the quarterback position right now, pretty much. I mean, if you top to bottom, you look at it.
Right. And then something deep down to me wants to still fade the rookie quarterback just because even though the kid's shown so much poise and composure and act like he's been there before, he hasn't. So
Right.
at any given point, this kid could get a little complacent, maybe. I mean, I
He's
would
special,
say he's
man.
due to be complacent, right?
I'm not counting him out of anything. I wouldn't
I
be
wouldn't either.
shocked if he has another spectacular performance. I mean, the thing that's so fun about this weekend is that this game is first because you know damn well if Jaden Daniels pulls another upset, the AFC is going to be smelling blood. No disrespect to him, but they're looking at a young, inexperienced team, and that's going to make that evening game that much more interesting there, truthfully.
Yeah. The AFC Championship game winner doesn't want to play Philly. That's for sure.
Right. Out of the two.
Out of the two. Absolutely. I mean, yeah, dude. I mean, I personally, I love betting team totals. I hate betting game totals. I love betting team totals.
Sure.
And I think
What do we got?
if you're getting Philly, let's say,
I don't
yeah,
have a
I
team
guess we can
total up
kind of
here.
estimate. So the total is 47.5.
Mm-hmm.
So I could see, I mean, you think they're putting Philly's total at like somewhere in that,
25 or
yeah, somewhere in that 27 range maybe. And then maybe well, I mean, if they really trying to math, man, this is why I'm a barber, not a mathematician.
no, you're right with that. They
I
would.
could, yeah, I could see maybe, but
Yeah.
it doesn't line up with the spread is what I'm trying to make sense of. Like
So
I
if
would
they
think Washington's number would be somewhere in that 23 range, maybe
mm-hmm.
23, 24, and then they put Philly around 27, 28.
This is where, so if we're giving advice, this is where it's best to wait because we got to see that forecast
100%.
roll in too. That affects team totals immensely there. I mean,
Yeah,
because
if we were to make a smart pick, it would be wait until you see how this line's moving, how the public's betting it, because the public might drive this number down a little bit. I mean, we're seeing what PFF said, 4.9. You know,
well, I'll tell you what too. I mean, it's not like this Washington team isn't necessarily built for the type of game you were talking about when we first brought this up. Um, with slowing the pace down, like they can supplement the run with three guys, not just two running backs. Jaden Daniels, all bets are off right now. He's ready to run buck wild too, and he can. So he'll be tough in that type of inclement weather too. So
yeah, I mean, I don't think he's gonna. I mean, they can obviously put the ball in his hands and he could run, but he's still not like a Vic or I mean, he's not like extremely shifty or like
no,
Lamar fast, but
he's
like
got to keep you honest with the pass first too. But
yeah, he would rather throw it in the pocket. I think this kid.
yeah,
Like he's just
but
very mature. Like he doesn't lean on that shit.
but
So
those big plays where they needed his legs in that Detroit game, though, he came through with them. He's crafty,
he's
man.
very capable.
That was like a Mahomes-esque type. If you're not, he's more athletic, but like you're saying, he's not like a Vic where it's overly flashy, but he just got it done every time with his legs.
That's a good way to put it.
Or the week before, they had a big third down play against the Bucks to seal the game, and he looped right to get the first down to kind of seal the game there
Yeah,
too.
I remember
He's
seeing that.
he's crafty too, and they put the ball in his hand in that moment because A, they know he's capable, and B, the moment's not too big for him. So he should keep it interesting, and I hope he does.
Yeah, I'm just looking at all the different books right now. It's 5.5 across the whole board. It opened at 4.5. It says, which
Wow.
man, which I would have hammered Philly if I would have saw that. Maybe I would have hammered Philly, but yeah,
So
dude, I think
you're right. It's like a 25 for the Chiefs, 22 for the Commanders, right? 22
Right.
team total around there.
Yeah.
So
But
that's a tough.
would you like that team total over
I'm
Washington?
staying away from that period. I'm not touching that, but that's me.
Yeah.
Especially on Monday. So I don't know where that line goes, but
So would you agree our consensus would be to live bet Philly in the right spot?
if the game is going that way, if we
Right.
start to see some magic happening again, the book might be stubborn where they're not willing to give up on Philly yet.
We see that a lot.
Yeah, generally I would love to lean Philly live, like just looking into the crystal ball for what I think is going to happen, but yeah, I don't know.
I mean, you could bet a team total live too. I've done that before.
True.
You could see
You
a
could
team
also
get
do what I did, where I sent you that screenshot, and uh, this is a tip here too. If your internet's lagging, if you're not at home and you're using your cellular data versus your Wi-Fi, just be a little patient because I put a live bet in like 3 extra times from what I wanted to. Luckily, it worked in my favor, but just kept clicking the damn thing.
isn't that lovely when that happens, when it works out in your favor.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, this better fucking hit. because man, oh man, they screwed me over. It's like they did the shit on purpose. Like that's how you feel like in those moments. But yeah, I mentioned it too. Like everything's streaming now, and you see a number change when you're about to play it, and you're like, what happened? Did something happen? And then that happens too, where you're just like, lock in the bet, boom. Okay, nothing. The odds changed. You know, it's minus 109 now, not minus 110. All right, place bet. Oh, it's minus 111. Place bet. Oh, it's minus. It's like, oh my god, dude, what? Just go through. So some books are a little, I feel like, more forgiving in that too. Have you ever fucked with the DraftKings, FanDuel, any of those?
No, not live especially, but no.
I bet their live betting structure formats are so much more forgiving than like the books we're on.
Yeah.
We're on more of a small time book. We're not on these national, books. So yeah, ours
I
can be a little
sometimes for
finicky.
fun like to picture the guys running the server in some dungeon somewhere across the ocean, wherever it is.
And one thing, just principle, or a little principle, or just behind the counter there. People think, a lot of people, or a lot of these sports books, a lot of people think that there's a team of people making these numbers, and that it's all computers, dude.
Analytics, yeah.
It's all computers. And then there's a guy, or there's a team of people that might say, hey, we want to take advantage of the public here. We might move it here a little bit to try to play a certain game, but in large, the computer's setting the line.
Just and the same goes for we don't have cash out options going through books like that versus DraftKings and FanDuel to try and keep you coming back. That's not how it works. So
yeah, when I heard that, I'm like, this isn't how sports books are supposed to work. Like, what was this fucking like? I get hit 3 out of the 5 teams in the parlay. Do you want to cash out now? The fuck is this?
They're smart doing it. I know that much, but yeah, I know. That's what happens when it's a big entity versus the little guy, right?
Right. Yeah. But yeah, they'll sucker in everyone on, well, Steph Curry hit a 3-pointer. Yeah, he will. All right. Let's email you this bet. This 4-player prop parlay bullshit that'll never hit. Now that we got you suckered in on the Steph Curry bet, like, they love doing shit like that. So beware of the main page shit. Just focus on what you want to focus on. Don't get suckered in by, the front page.
Sure.
Because they did a 60 minutes segment on that before the Super Bowl last year. And it was about like, are people getting addicted to sports betting? They're putting it in the like consumers' hands. That they weren't putting it in the sports books' hands. I was like, don't blame the people. Blame the fucking like assholes that are, putting this promos on the front page and emailing you at the wazoo. That
And
come after them.
honestly, half the people that like now talk about betting that didn't used to are the ones where it's like, oh, I had the 12th leg on my 13 leg parlay, just missed, and I almost cashed for $60. That's all I needed. So it's addiction to what level in terms of those sites? You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, good rule of thumb, money management too. Just like never, it's the old cliche, like, never bet, anything more than you're willing to lose, right?
Exactly.
So let's preview the big one, my man.
Let's do it.
Buffalo at Kansas City. Let's check out the weather report. Have you checked it out yet?
I haven't. I mean, it could be drastically different than what it's like where we're at. I know I sent you that video of Buddy on the scooter this morning on the expressway.
I'll put that up in post. That was awesome.
in a blizzard there, but yeah, I don't know. The lake effect could be different. It's gonna be cold at the oh shit. What am I talking? It's in Kansas City anyways.
Yeah, I mean,
It's brutal there this time of year either way. Same thing. Winds ripping. That's so
yeah.
whatever. I
As we
haven't
speak,
checked.
it's
No.
9 degrees there.
Got ahead
So
of myself there thinking we're home again. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, both teams won't be affected much by the cold. They're very used to that.
Yeah.
In terms of precipitation,
Weather, you know what?
looks
Weather
pretty.
doesn't play a factor in this one unless we're talking about field goals, fumble, whatever. But in terms of the two most important guys on the field, Mahomes and Allen, they're unfazed by this, right?
Right. And it's not going to be a factor. We got 33 during the day, 22 at night, no precipitation, little to no wind, 5 to 10 mile per hour winds. So, I mean, that's pretty much perfect conditions for these two teams. So that
I got a feeling the money's going to pour in on Buffalo in this game.
I think people are, out of kind of nowhere, the Chiefs over the last year became like villains.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's what scares me too, is like I said in a couple prior episodes we did here, the barber chair is always a clear-cut indicator for what the general public's going to do. And talk to a couple people today, here and there. I can't wait till I get people in my chair to see the real, get a pulse on the real general public opinion. But I think I'm also local too, so that definitely factors in. But I think a lot of people are going to be leaning Buffalo here, which scares me.
No doubt. Right now it says -1.5 Kansas City. And when I put this on here, I saw it at 2.
I got 2 as well.
Yeah, I bet this game at Buffalo +1 is why I locked in that bet. And this late in the playoffs, you'll see numbers. You don't have to wait until the next morning anymore. The number's up after the game, typically, even on my sports book, and that says a lot.
Yeah.
So people were telling me the spread of next week's game before the game was even fucking over.
Sure.
They said someone told me -6 Buffalo, and I was like, take it easy. Jesus Christ, what is this? And then the game's over. They're not even favored. So I'm like, yeah.
And in my opinion, just like I said last week with the close spread we had there, at one point it's a pick 'em. If you like Buffalo, right now they're already at plus money at +110. We'll see how long that lasts. You take them money line here.
Money lines.
I mean, if you like Buffalo, I'd say that's the play versus taking the 2.
86% of the money, 77% of the bets on Buffalo.
That pains me to hear.
Right? Doesn't that scare the shit out of you right now?
Yeah. And I'm going to say something, like when the official picks come in, I mean, I'm giving it away already, but I'm gonna hedge my happiness here. Not in real life, but for the sakes of our picks here. I I have like battered wife syndrome here with the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes, and I'm just conditioned to picking them. And gun to my head right now, if I have to pick a winner, if I have to pick them laying the 2 there, it's Chiefs. Something does feel different this year, so I have more hope than normal. But if I were to advise from a betting standpoint, I say you take the Chiefs there. And again, that pick money line isn't bad either at -130, right? So I like the money line side for both ends if you're going to take a team.
Man, I just think this is the Bills' year. I'm on the Bills heavy in this game. The Chiefs have kind of just, I won't say lucked their way, but just, they haven't looked good all season long. Has there been a game where you're just like, wow, they dominated?
One.
Like against who?
Here, let's look at I think it was the game of Christmas week. I don't know.
No, it was the Houston game, no?
Was it Houston or was it? Remember Houston, Baltimore, Pittsburgh, and Kansas City, like all 4 played like games. They were like the same teams like 2 weeks in a row. Yeah. I just remember whatever game him and Kelsey were in the Santa robes in at the end of the game, I was like, that offense is clicking right now.
They killed the Steelers.
So that was the one game, yes. Like where I could
you were saying the Steelers are a bit phony.
Uh-huh.
They were reeling at the end of the year, losing 6 in a row. Yeah, the Steelers.
If they weren't really 3-time Super Bowl champs, I would have put a little more stock into that. But me just seeing for what it was, I'm like, wow, they're starting to click right now at the perfect time. But that's the only game that sticks out to me. You're right. Like they generally have not looked that way.
Oh, one thing I just remembered going back to Baltimore. Baltimore could have been the 2 seed easily. Mm-hmm. Like they fumbled that bag. They lost the Raiders and the Browns that really screwed up their playoff seedings.
Yep.
Like they had the whole postseason in their hands, but they blew that. But yeah, dude, the Chiefs, I mean, I'm looking at these games. Man. They're all close.
Yeah. Even the one they lost to Buffalo.
Like they beat the Saints 26-13. Man, you should be able to beat the brakes off the New Orleans Saints week 5. Remember the Saints came out this year, the first 2 games, they looked like they were juggernauts.
Yeah, they did.
Nowhere. They're like, Clint Kubiak's really calling a good offense here. And then they just fell off without a parachute. And they beat them when they were already falling off 26-13. So it's like, I don't know if that was in garbage time where the Saints made that somewhat of a respectable game, but yeah, dude. I mean, they were just in dogfights with everybody this year. They almost lost to the Panthers week 12. They only won by 3.
Yeah, I remember that one too.
The Browns, They only won by 2 touchdowns. They should have lost. What was that? Black Friday to the Houston Texans? Or no, that was the week before Christmas. Jesus. Yeah, they must have played them Sunday, and then they had to play the Steelers that Thursday or something. Or no, that was Christmas Day. So whatever day that was, Friday or Saturday. I mean, they give the Chiefs a little bit of credit. Being as popular of a team and generational as a team they have been, they're playing in all these weird-ass spots. I mean, they don't have to go to London or anything, but, I mean, they're getting short rest. They got banged up. They got healthy now.
Yep.
I mean, could you see this game being pretty low scoring?
Yeah, I could see it. I could see it going the other way too, honestly, but I could see it being low scoring. 47.5. If I were to look at that back line, I could definitely see it going under. That's the way these 2 teams have played.
Yeah, I lean the under here with that number. Definitely leaning on under.
What was I'm trying to think of, let me see if I could, the score for when we played each other. I was at the game. I can't remember offhand. 30-21. We won there. So 51. Yeah, I could see it going under.
Yeah, dude. I mean, yeah, that's 51 there. They went over. The total there was 47 in that game too.
Wow.
So they're maybe trying to compare it to that game, which makes me like the under even more since it's the playoffs. The total can't be the same number in the playoffs and the regular season, right?
I honestly, I think we're about to see Josh Allen's best playoff game of the postseason here too. Win
This is
or
his
lose.
moment.
Yeah,
This is
win
his
or
moment.
lose. Mm-hmm. So,
you know what's a good play? I wonder if I can find this. Let me see if I can. No, fucking. I like the under in the first half. And maybe more specifically, Kansas City's under in the first half, the team total of Kansas City.
yeah.
Which, okay, about 24 a half, 23 and a half a half. I could see them setting that. What do you think they set that number at, John?
First half?
Kansas City's first half number, team total.
So
23 and a half. I bet they set it right there.
For team total?
For a team total. I love that under. If it's a 23 and a half, 24.
I don't know if I'm looking at the combined total here because I'm seeing
Oh,
23
no.
and a half.
Oh, no, yeah. I'm an idiot. It would have been about 13 and a half, maybe.
You were on point with the combined total is 23 and a half for first half.
Right. Yeah.
I'd say Chiefs first half. I think they hit that right on the head there. Minus 120 first half. That's a solid bet right there too. And then they have them plus
just outright.
Yeah, and Chiefs minus a half a point, Buffalo plus a half a point. So essentially a pick 'em there. I don't see team totals just yet. That'll be released
team totals
soon.
come up late, regardless, typically.
But you're right on point with that.
23 and a half. I like that under, dude. You know what? Nah, Buffalo's my pick. Buffalo's the pick for the pod, but that might be what I gamble on top of this game because I already have Buffalo. I might lay that bet myself. I want to see if it's even on there.
I think this is conference championship week and Super Bowl week are like two of my favorite to bet player props too.
Oh, definitely Super Bowl.
Yeah. So I say look at some of the props here too, which I'll throw another plug to a client and buddy of mine, propspot.ai. For
I'll
the
put
app.
that on there again.
They
got both games at 23 and a half first half total.
Okay.
What do you set the Super Bowl line at? Say it goes the way we think it's going to go. Bills, Eagles. What's that line?
I mean, so I'm thinking Chiefs Eagles rematch here.
You don't think the Bills are going to beat the Chiefs? What's the pick on your pick on here is what?
I have to advise from a betting standpoint, right?
Right.
Chiefs, and like I said, I'm going to hedge my happiness there because I think we do have. This is our best shot we've had. I'll say that. Like, obviously, we had the 13-second game, and things do feel different with that Mark Andrews drop there. Like that. That's our team doing that every single time. So it feels different, but I've been rolling Chiefs Eagles. You could ask anyone who sat in my chair for weeks upon weeks now.
Yeah,
I say Chiefs Eagles, and I think Chiefs absolutely wax the Eagles in a rematch. And I think Vegas will set them as they will open up as 7-point favorites at least if that rematch happens. I would think.
That's actually not a bad estimation on the line, just based on what they've been doing this whole playoffs. the 7.5, and then let the public bet it down if they want it. But yeah, dude, I'm on
now.
So your pick is the money line, KC money line in this game on the pod, or KC -2?
I think if you take either team, you have to take money line with this spread in a conference championship game. With how close those lines are, what were they, -130? Buffalo +110, something like that. So you gotta roll money line for either if you like either team.
Yeah, it might even be less than 130 for the Chiefs, but
yeah,
I'm guessing the line is going to be Bills Eagles. It's going to be a close one, man. I think the Bills and Eagles are pretty evenly matched in a lot of ways. I could see just the sheer likability of the Bills. I could see them being -3. Just a pretty standard Super Bowl line, -3, Bills versus Eagles.
I say all that to say this. If Buffalo does win this week, I like the way we match up with Philly better than the way we match up with Kansas City. Given the fact that I'm picking Philly to make the Super Bowl, I favor the Bills in that matchup if they pull it off.
Yeah, I think the Chiefs secondary is really, really good. Of course, their rush defense is good too, but I mean, I'm more afraid of Philly's front seven than I am Kansas City's. But dude, I just think the Bills are just Josh Allen's so mature now. He's got it together, and they have a running game, and they have an OC that's completely, shifted the culture there almost. Like, it's different this year. You could see it, man. Especially at the beginning of the year, too, when we knew it wasn't going to be quite the same. We knew it wasn't going to be the same as last year, but not quite like this.
There's moments where we were getting gashed by Lamar and the Ravens in that game where it's like that's instantly where my mind takes me is what's this going to look like when it's Mahomes again, which I get it. Like it's game to game. Same thing for us. Like I said about Spags and Andy Reid. So
you can bend, but just don't break.
we have been playing a lot of man coverage this year compared to the past two. So we'll see. Hopefully it's like reverse mush method there is what I'm going for too.
You just can't leave Kelsey wide open in the middle of the field.
Which tends to happen, but
right. Does he look like he put on weight this year? Or is it he just wearing bigger football pads or something?
He looks a little hefty.
He looks a lot heftier for some reason.
I do. So, in him in his older years here, like I do like the way our linebacking core can match up with him from a speed standpoint because, like, throwing Milano as a spy on Lamar Jackson is a hell of a tall task. And if you're asking him to do that, you can ask him to close the gap on Kelsey too. So, well, we'll see. Like you said, I mean, and we got some crucial injuries there too, potentially with Taylor Rapp and Benford. Hopefully, we're good there. But yeah, it's tough. This is
so
just
Rapp was the one where he hurt his arm.
Hip.
Who was the guy that hurt his arm where he like made a tackle? He like threw his on his own arm.
Slid on the sideline at one. Taron Johnson, which he ended up coming back in the game. One of the best nickel corners in the league.
He toughed it out. Yeah. He's tough. I liked him.
Man. Yeah.
All right, man. So here's our picks, right?
Yep.
We're on the Eagles.
Yep.
Minus the points.
Yeah.
What was the play? Okay, so we picked the Eagles -5.5. And you're on the Chiefs money line.
Yep.
I'm on the Bills +1 or +2. Right? That's Bills, what we got the line at.
And again, if you like the Bills,
money line's the way. Well, we advised the money line, but I picked the +2.
Yeah.
Just because how many games have we seen the Chiefs block a field goal or just fucking barely squeak one through? What's your take on the like there's plenty of conspiracy theories about the Chiefs, but sometimes they go a bit too far. I'm like, all right, everything's not fucking fixed. Like everything isn't scripted here. Like
That's where I lie every time. And I had my youngest brother is 20 years old. We got a big gap in age between us, 15 years. So we were having this discussion, and I always go back to the point. I'm like, think about how many disgruntled employees there are on a 53-man roster throughout the history of the NFL. Not one guy is going to step out and talk about what was fixed and what's not. And he's like, oh, they signed non-disclosures. And I'm like, buddy, once you're not employed by them anymore, if they signed one, that's out the window. I'm like, these guys would be singing like birds after the fact.
It shit eventually comes out from
Yeah.
somewhere.
Yeah.
And yeah, dude, that's everything isn't scripted or fixed. Hey, Kobe Bryant got the whistles. Michael Jordan got some whistles. That's all it is.
Yeah.
The stars of the league are going to get a couple whistles. LeBron's going to get a whistle. Like it's just the way it is. So hopefully the refs are somewhat objective. There wasn't a lot of penalties in that Bills game.
No. And the Bills,
they let them
when
play.
we were glancing at the team stats before, they had one penalty for 10 yards.
Yeah, it was like 1-3, 1-4. I remember seeing a couple plays where some guys were getting held, throwing their hands up, and like nothing. But they were pretty consistent across both sides. Now that's the way they should. That's the way they should play it.
100% in the playoffs. I just had a thought for something to advise for a pick too. Two things we kind of generally agreed on, both of us. I was having trouble pulling it up here, but if you're able to parlay, Eagles money line and then Bills Chiefs under. I kind of like that. Just sprinkle a little bit on those two together.
Eagles money line and what'd you say?
The
Chiefs.
Bills Chiefs under the game total. Might not be a bad play there.
I'm not mad at that.
Yeah. So sprinkle a little bit on it.
Okay, a little sprinkle, a little parlay there. Okay.
Or that first half team total or game total too.
Yeah, that's like my derivative play. If we're gonna throw a derivative out there, I like the under. I like the first half under the Bills Chiefs. So, all right, my man. Anything else you want to bring up in closing?
No, man. I mean, this has been fun. Kind of been keeping me into it. People have been holding me accountable. I'm sure people who sit in your chair have been doing the same. So,
right, man.
I'm enjoying it.
It's been fun, man. I appreciate you doing this. You know, it's kind of sparking my podcast mode back up. I've been trying to find something to kind of get me passionate again about it. So this did it, dude. And yeah, we're kind of doing this year for a preview, and possibly we can kind of get something organized for next year that makes sense. So all right, John. In closing, good luck to the Bills.
Go Bills, baby.
I think the Bills are going to win, and we'll see how this other game plays out. We could have a little surprise on our hands in the other game. Who knows?
Bills Mafia, don't hate me. My heart's still in the right place. It's a little reverse mush action there. So
yeah, don't put the juju on them, man. Well, all right. That's another episode of the Your Barber Podcast, Betting Barbers Edition. See you guys next time. Peace.
Take care.